Hello. In today's video, what we're going to be talking about is the top 10 fat loss habits that I've implemented, that I implement a lot with my clients, and that are going to get you leaner without really having to think about it too much. Okay. The idea of these is that they can be implemented, and they're just going to make your life a hell of a lot easier without you having to overthink things. And this list isn't exhaustive. It's something that you can add to, you can pick and choose from, and I would definitely not try to put all 10 in place at once. So, how we make fat loss easier and how we make getting leaner easier is by just having these habits in place so that they allow us to fall in line with our current values. So, when it comes to goal setting, if you've watched that, you've got to have an identity behind what you're trying to achieve. So, for example, a lot of my goals aim towards cricket. I've got a photo shoot later this year, so a lot of them are aimed towards building as much muscle as I possibly can, and that'll happen for the next 6 weeks. Then I start dieting for 6 weeks, and then basically from this point till my photo shoot, my life's pretty much planned. But it's how we identify as those goals at the end. All right, I want to be lean for my photo shoot, so I'm going to do the things that are going to create me to be lean, all right, or get me to be lean. And this is pretty much what this list is. Then when it comes to habits take about on average 66 days for them to be embedded in, all right, and depending on how hard the habit is. So like brushing your teeth, relatively easy, it's going to take less than 66 days, probably going to take less than a week. Whereas something like running a 10k every day, or running a 5k every day, or just running every day, it's going to take a lot longer to come in and it become habitual. Alright, so it's averages 66 days. I think it's anywhere from like 15 to like 300 days or something stupid like that. Alright, but these habits are processes that you do repeatedly, but then your brain picks up and creates a neural pathway, so you don't even have to think about it. Think about washing your hands after you go to the toilet, or even flushing the toilet after you've had a poo. Brushing your teeth in the morning, like grabbing a coffee. Even when you go on your phone and you go and you're like, oh, you go on your phone and the first thing you do is you type in your number. If you changed your PIN number for your phone, you'd probably try to type in your old number for weeks before it became habitual that your new number is there. Okay, and you probably open your phone and you go to the first thing that you always go to, which is like Instagram or Facebook or something, rather than what you actually need. And you always end up on the wrong app. Been there, done that, do it every day. Okay. So number one is we're going to set a bedtime. We're going to set a wake up time, and we're going to stick to it. So if you've watched the sleep video, you'll know that sleep is your first anchor point of the day. It makes a hell of a difference when it comes to what you're trying to achieve. And if you get this right, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to have the rest of your day set up. Set up a wake up time, put your alarm on in a different room, and do not snooze it. Easy. There's number one. As easy as you can. Number two, if you've watched the hunger satiety video, you'll know that reducing food variety reduces the amount of hunger that you'll have. Okay, we want to limit the amount of cravings that we have when it comes to fat loss. We want to limit the amount of hunger we have. So we reduce the amount of food variety, we reduce diet palatability essentially. So you're likely to just go for the same foods over and over and over again, and it's really easy, really simple. Okay, because then you're not craving any foods outside of your jurisdiction. So a lot of the foods I eat right now are chicken, sweet potato, and veg. A lot of my meals are just that. Because one, I like chicken, I like sweet potato, and I like veg. And it's just easy. It's not so palatable that I'm like, oh, I'm going to overeat on that. And it's likely what I'm going to be dieting on as well. Okay. Number three, get 30 minutes of exercise in every single day. This is one of the non-negotiables that I have with myself and all of my clients. It is easy, it's simple, and it's effective. Not only from a fat loss perspective, but from a mental health perspective and just a general health perspective. If you've got a dog, it makes it a lot easier. Like I'm lucky I have Odin. Not only because he's the best dog you'll ever meet, but I get to walk him twice a day, most days. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. Alright, if you don't have a dog, anything from walking the dog to actually going to train, going on the bike, running, whatever it might be, 30 minutes of anything. Okay? Easy. Number four, weight train 3 to 4 times a week. 3+ times. It could be 3 to 5. Aim for similar times on the same days. So right now, like I said, I've got a 6 week block now between me and when I start dieting. Okay, I'm training. I train Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, Sunday. As soon as cricket starts, in about 6 weeks, when it starts like ramping up a little bit, and I train twice a week, that then goes to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, because I've got games on Saturday and Sunday. Simple. What that allows me to do, it allows me to just say, okay, well, if one of my friends says to me, one of my limited friends says to me, all right, what are you doing Thursday at this time? I can say, all right, well, I'm training, I'm in the gym, training at this time. So no, I can't do what you want me to. Right? You've almost got to see this as an appointment. And this is one of the harder ones on this list, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym 3 times a week. It's like, you either want the body you want, and you want to get leaner, and you want to lose more fat, and you want to look bigger, and you want to have more muscle, and you want to live longer, or you don't. Okay? People will always say to me, oh yeah, I want this, I'll do anything. And it's like, well, you won't, because you're not doing it. And this is probably the one on this list where you have to fucking nail. Otherwise, you're not going to look as good as you want to look. You're not going to get as lean as you want to. Okay? So the key here is not just the training 3 to 4 times a week. It's making sure that they're like an appointment in your diary of, it's the same day. I train Tuesday at 10 o'clock. I train Wednesday at 5 o'clock. I train Thursday at 11 o'clock. Whatever it might be. It's making sure that you've got that in your diary, so it's almost a non-negotiable for you. Very similar. Number 5, eating 3 to 5 meals a day, eating the same meals at similar times. Okay, I eat 4 meals a day, and the reason I put 3 to 4 is because females dieting on 1,000, 1,200 calories, 1,500 calories, 4 meals is probably a little bit of a stretch. But I eat 4 meals a day. I eat at 6 to 7, 11 o'clock, 3:30, and 7 to 8. They're my meals. Okay, I eat very similar meals, like I said earlier, but I have set meal times, so my day's planned out. Okay, that they are anchor points for my day. They allow me to bump things around it. So I know that me going to the gym at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to get home and I'm going to have potentially a post-workout meal immediately when I get in. Okay, I know full well that I need to plan my food around those times. It makes it super easy, super simple, and you'll find that if you work a 9 to 5, for example, you can have a meal beforehand, a meal at lunch, a meal at like a snack at 3 o'clock. Go and train when you finish at 5, 5:30, and then you have tea when you get in. Okay, the idea of having 4 meals a day that I'm such a fan of is you allow yourself to have a pre-workout and a post-workout meal, as well as something before bed and something when you wake up. So you've got 4 spikes in muscle protein synthesis, you've got pre-workout to give you the energy for train, you've got post-workout to resynthesize some of the glycogen, and a massive protein boost when protein synthesis is already high. It's a win-win. Okay, that's why I'm such a fan of it. Number 6, increase food volume. Switch starch carbohydrates for fruit and veg. Ideally veg if your calories are stupid low. It makes it a hell of a lot easier for you to get everything you need in, because you're not only increasing food volume for the amount of calories, so you've got a bigger stretch on your stomach, which makes you feel fuller for longer, but you also get a hell of a large influx of fibre, again keeping you fuller for longer, and micronutrients, again making you feel better whilst we're dieting. This morning I was going through Forge check-ins, so my group coaching. A lot of people on there are on such low calories in comparison to what they used to, but they're telling me they've got more energy and feel better. It's because the lower the calories, the more fruit and veg you're going to have to eat, so that you can actually eat something in those calories. You can't have 1,200 calories worth of chocolate. It's not going to work. You can't have 1,200 calories of takeaways. There isn't such a thing really. So you have to increase the food volumes, increase micronutrients, and you feel better for it. Plus you feel less bloated because you've actually got fibre and you actually can go poo properly. Okay. Number 7, remove liquid calories. Coffees, like lattes and shit like that. Fruit juices, orange juice, apple juice, pineapple juice. Okay. Store-bought protein shakes. So your Huels, whatever the other ones are called that you can get. They're expensive for what they are, when you can just have a double scoop of protein shake and you get 50 grams of protein or 45 grams of protein for less than 200 calories, whereas you're getting 50 grams of protein for like 500 calories. If you get a Huel, they're 400 calories and not £8. It's fucking stupid. All right, one that's not listed on here is alcohol. Alcohol has its own separate, its own separate macronutrient. If you have alcohol that is prioritised as a fuel source, it switches off the burning of pretty much everything else to any real extent, and reduces muscle protein synthesis, reduces your ability to sleep, reduces literally every process in the body. It's just harmful, alcohol, especially beyond moderation. So just have to be careful with that, as well as the calories that are in them, especially your fruity ciders, things like that. Number 8, don't eat after 8 p.m. There's no research behind like timings in terms of eating right immediately, like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock before bed. Yeah, it's probably going to affect your sleep to some extent, which isn't really what we want. But eating after 8 p.m, typically you usually in front of the TV, usually watching whatever it might be you're watching, traitors or whatever, and it's usually crap that you go to. It's not because you're hungry, it's typically because you're bored, like you're watching shit on TV, and your body wants a dopamine hit, so it goes for crisps, chocolate, wine, cider, beer, whatever it might be. It's a combination of snacks, crisps, chocolate, and alcohol. Right? If you just say to yourself, I don't eat after 8 p.m, therefore, then you will just not eat after 8 p.m. Simple. Okay. Number 9, start saying no. Say no to stuff that you don't want to do. All right, and stop trying to please others. There's a lot of people that will try to get you and sabotage you on your journey. Okay, it will happen. They don't even know they're doing it half the time, and that's fine. But you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to stand up for yourself and just be like, actually, no, I don't want to do that. And one thing that I always say with clients is, if you don't want to do it tonight, you don't want to do it in 2 weeks. You don't want to do it in 4 weeks. You don't want to do it later on. And if you say no, you can always revert that back down to a yes without letting anybody else down. Whereas if you say yes and they say, actually, no, I'm gonna back out, you're going to annoy people. Okay? There's nothing worse than someone saying yes to something and then them backing out. Alright? Just say no in the first place. If you don't want to do it, just say no. Alright? Last but not least is be relentlessly consistent. There are leeways in this. So like your protein goal, you could be 5 to 10 grams either side of it. Your fat goal, 5 to 10 grams. Carbs, you can be 20 grams either side. Calories, you can probably be 50 either side of that. But you have to be relentlessly consistent within those parameters, right? And you've got to think that consistency can't be consistent if you're having takeaways every week, if you're having alcohol every week, because the numbers are skewed. The harder to track, the harder to differentiate between what is the actual number and what you've tracked. So therefore, you've got a wider margin of consistency, and your environment will breed the consistency. Okay, so if you set yourself up with a sleep routine, if you set yourself up with an eating routine and a sort of a meal schedule, would have rotating plans of what these meals might be, plus a weight training schedule on top of like a good weight training plan. As long as everything else is in place, you won't be far off where you need to be, as long as you're relentlessly consistent with it. And that is the basis of everything. Consistency is key. If you're not consistent, you're not going to get anywhere. Like, it's all right doing it for 5 days, but then every weekend ruining it. It's all right doing it for a month and then spending the next month. It's like January, for example. All right, I'm going to do dry January. What happens 1st of February? Everybody goes out and gets all wankered because they've just been paid. The only reason doing dry January is because they've overdrank of a new year, and it costs money. So they'll save themselves some money, feel better for a month, and then they'll celebrate them feeling better by making themselves feel worse. We have to be consistent. All right, everybody you look up to is, when you say, "Oh, I'd love to look like them," or they've got abs and they've got, look at their biceps, it's because they've trained for years consistently. All right, day 10. Any questions? Hit me up. I've linked the fat loss guide below. All right, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll catch up with you on the next one.